Hello and welcome to my country garden. Now we're in February now and I bet you've been bewildered by the array of seeds that you can potentially sow this month. What I would say to you is don't panic, because pretty much everything that you can sow in February you can also sow in March, and in fact beyond that as well. What I want to do today though is introduce you to the 4 types of seed that if you sow nothing else in February, I recommend that you sow. Okay, the first seeds that I'm going to be sowing in February are lettuce seeds. Now you get loads of varieties of lettuce, all sorts of different types, and in the main, lettuces love it cooler. So it's actually ideal to get them started now, and you'll be able to grow them, transplant them, get them out before the overly hot weather hits. And I know it's hard to imagine in February we're going to get overly hot weather, but fingers crossed we will get some heat later on in the year. Lettuce like it cool. They can bolt if it gets too hot for them. So yeah, lettuce is an ideal seed to get sown this month. And the good thing about lettuce, and because I'm going to start sowing them in February, I'm going to sow them successionally. So every month, every 4 weeks, 5 weeks or so, I am going to sow them again and sow them again and sow them again. And that will keep me in salad all the way through the year basically, or certainly into the start of winter time. And if you've got a slightly, a polytunnel or a greenhouse that you can keep frost free, you can actually keep the lettuce going through the winter as well. The varieties I'm going to sow just now, and I'll be sowing a whole range of varieties of lettuce through the year, but the 3 that I'm going to start today are Freckles. Freckles is a Cos type lettuce, and it's got speckles on it, reddish speckles on it, thus the name. So we're going to sow Freckles. Then I'm going to sow an Iceberg type, Iceberg 4. And Iceberg 4, it actually has a red tinge through it as well. So an Iceberg type, green with some red tinges, which is nice. And then lettuce all the year round, or all year round, which, as you can imagine, is quite happy to be sown most of the time. And this is a butterhead lettuce, so it's a smooth, a softer lettuce that is scrummy in salads also. Now, I grow lots of lettuce because, of course, not just for us eating them, the chickens and the quail also eat lettuce. We don't give them tons because there's not that much nutrition in it for the birds, but it gives them a hit of moisture, particularly in the warmer weather, and they do like having a little peck at some lettuce as well. So, as you know, lettuce can be quite expensive when you're buying it in the shop, so growing my own helps me reduce my quail and chicken bills as well. So how am I going to go about sowing them? Nice and simple. I've got a tray here. This tray has got a mixture of seed sowing compost that I have sieved. You could use multi-purpose compost, again perhaps sieved or at least without the big bits in. And I've mixed in some vermiculite, and I've got 3 labels in there. I'm just going to scatter some lettuce seeds in each of the cells against each of the labels, and I'm going to take this indoors. Now, you don't have to use heat for lettuce. You could actually just pop it on a windowsill, pop a little dome cover on it and let them germinate. Because I've got heat mats and a heated propagator, I'll just pop them in there, and it doesn't take long at all for the seedlings to pop up. And as soon as they do that, I'm going to pop them under my grow lights. I think light rather than heat is more important at this time of year for most of the seeds that you sow. There are some that really demand a bit more heat, but usually the heat in your house is enough to get most things germinated. But certainly with the lettuce, and because I've got the heat pads there, I'll just get them started on that, but you don't have to. So it's nice and simple. Let's just do all year round. I won't bore you with doing all of them. But I'm literally going to just pop them out. So this is, I've not got too many of these seeds actually. I'll get some more. And then I'm literally, where's all the year round? It's the middle one. And I'm just going to sprinkle the seeds on top of the compost. I have wet this compost, by the way. And if I get lots of seedlings, that's absolutely fine. And I'm going to pop some vermiculite over the top. And as I say, I'm going to pop this on the heat mat just to get them started, but I won't keep them on that at all. As I say, they are a little cooler weather crop. And that's basically it. And I will do that for the other 2 lots of lettuce as well. And where lettuce is concerned, the way that there's a plethora of places that you can grow them on, but what I will do when the seedlings come up, I will thin them out and I'll put them, each seedling, into its own cell in a larger cell tray, and I'll grow them on again. At that point, I'll potentially take them out into the polytunnel or the grow house, and I'll let them grow on in there. And then when the plants become a little bit larger, maybe about that size, and looking that they are going to cope with the outside world, I will transplant them out. Lettuce are great. They're great for containers. I quite often use kitchen washing up bowls and just drill some holes in them, and one of those washing up bowls you can get maybe 4 or 5 lettuces in, and that means you can just move them about to wherever you want to set them, whether it's on a table outside your back door, or whether it's in your polytunnel, or on a shelving area outside or whatever. So putting them in the little washing up bowls is fantastic, or just in other containers, pots or whatever. Maybe they'll have, you'll put them into your own salad bed if you've got an area that you want to grow them in, and they don't require full sun, or they can actually go into a more shaded bed, so they're ideal for that. Or you can actually use the lettuce to dot them in between other crops. Just pop them where you've got space. So lettuce really is a great crop to grow, and starting off some lettuce in February is, I would say, it's a good thing to do if you're going to sow seeds at all in February. So that's lettuce. The next thing that I'm going to sow is peas, or are peas, and this variety is called Douce Provence, and this is happy to be sown February onwards. And Douce Provence, it gives you quite big pods with lots of peas in. They don't grow very tall though, the plants maybe 30 to 45 centimetres tall. So again, it's quite good. You can put them in containers and you don't have to have a huge growing structure for them. Maybe a little tiny bit of support, and they will romp away. With these, I am going to be sowing in these larger cell trays. This is a container-wise cell tray, and you can see it's quite deep. In here I've got multi-purpose compost that I didn't have to sieve actually. I'm trying out a new type of multi-purpose compost I've never tried before. It's called Grow Moor multi-purpose compost, and it seems to be, it's the first time I've used it, but it seems to be quite a nice compost. It doesn't have lots of bits of wood and all that sort of stuff in, even though it is a peat-free compost. So I've got multi-purpose compost, I have got vermiculite mixed through as per usual, and in these cell trays I'm going to put 3 pea seeds in each. So 3 pea seeds in each. I'll just push them into the compost, and then I'm going to top it off with some vermiculite. And this I'm going to grow in the house at the moment, so it doesn't have to go on heat, although you can pop it on heat to get them started if you want, and then as soon as you see them coming through, take it off heat. You can just pop them in a windowsill or whatever and get them started. The reason I am starting these indoors is because mice love the peas, and there's been too many times when I've wondered why my peas haven't come up, and I've gone into the polytunnel and looked, and lo and behold, the pea seeds themselves have been eaten or run away with. And even smaller plants it can get sort of chomped at the top by mice as well. So I'm going to grow these on a bit indoors, and then once they're up and they're looking like they're strong little seedlings, I'll pop them out into the grow house where I can hopefully keep any micicles at bay, and then I may then, if I have to make some space in the grow house, I'll pop them into the polytunnel then. If you've got a nice hanging shelf in your polytunnel or your greenhouse, that's ideal, so you can just pop them in there because the mice can't get up and to chomp on your seeds. I don't have in my little polytunnel, so I've just got to be a little bit more cautious. So yes, I won't bore you with it, but yeah, 3 seeds in each of the cells, push them down just so that they're below the surface of the compost there, and then I'm going to top it all off with vermiculite. Again, I have already watered this compost. Okay, I've had to come into the chicken run because it's starting to chuck it down with the rain outside, and it's quite handy having a chicken run to shelter in. So, I mean, I do have the polytunnel down further down the garden, but it's sort of all closed up at the moment, so it's easier just jumping into the chicken run here. So the third type of seed that I am going to be sowing in February are sweet peppers. Now, sweet peppers can also be sown in January, and I did actually sow a couple of varieties in January, and that's covered in my what seeds to sow in January video, and I'll put a link to that at the end of this video and in the video description. So I've got a couple of varieties already on the go, but I'm going to sow another couple of varieties, and they are, this is Red King. So Red King is your classical capsicum, your classical bell pepper, and it's red. So I'm going to sow that, and I'm also going to sow this pepper called Delirio, and again it's a sort of quite a chunky pepper. It's an orange one, this one. So I'm going to pop them in, and the way that I sow those, I just brought my little quarter tray in. So I've got a little quarter seed tray, and I've got seed sowing compost that's been sieved along with vermiculite, which is mostly what I sow into, and then I'll just pop some of the pepper seeds on here, cover with vermiculite. I'll pop these definitely onto the heated mat with a propagator lid on to keep the humidity in, making sure that obviously the compost has been watered, and they will stay at about 20 degrees C, maybe up to 25 degrees C, depending on what else I've got on the heat mats, and I'll let them grow on. As soon as they come through the surface, I will open the vent in the propagator lid, and at that point I will take them into the sort of area that I've got my grow lights, and I will let them grow under light from then on. Once they're large enough to handle and have got a couple of true leaves, I'll transplant them out of this seed tray into their own little, either into little 7cm pots or into a larger cell tray that's got some larger cells in for them to grow on in. These will stay indoors for the next couple of months actually, before I then chance putting them out into the polytunnel. So I'm really wanting to put them out when the weather is a bit warmer and there's much less chance of frost. Now up here in central Scotland, my last frost date is sometime in May, so I'm not going to keep everything in the house until May, but what I'll do is I'll put the things out and just keep an eye on the weather and make sure I've got some fleece handy if it gets likely to be a little bit cooler than I would like. If you don't have heated mats, you can still grow peppers, you know, if you've got a nice warm windowsill, maybe with a radiator below it, something like that, that gives you that bit of heat. And of course, you don't necessarily, with peppers, you don't necessarily need light at the same time as heat. So even if it's not at a window, but it's got a nice heat source on it, that will hopefully kick the seedling or the seed into life and get it to start for you. But as soon as it does start growing, you do need to get it under lights or in a nice sunny place, a conservatory, a sunny windowsill or whatever, to get it growing. Okay, so seed number 4 and the last seeds that I'm going to talk about today for sowing in February are tomato seeds. Now, tomatoes don't have to be sown in February at all, and a lot of people will wait until March to get their tomatoes on the go. Some people even wait until April. Other people will sow their tomatoes really early on, and in fact start some in January. And I, at the end of January, started one lot of tomato seeds, Shirley. Just got 4 Shirley seedlings growing on in the house under grow lights. I run the risk of them taking over the place, so that's one reason why you don't want to sow your tomatoes too early, because they do grow quite fast and you don't want them to become huge plants before you're actually planting them out into their final growing position. As you pot tomatoes on, you can put them in quite deep, so that you're keeping them at a sensible height, but they do grow quite quickly, so you do take a chance of them taking over your indoor space if you sow them in January and even in February to a degree. So a word of caution with tomatoes. So, slight technical hitch, the last bit of the video that I recorded was corrupt on the hard drive, so I'm indoors now and I'm going to finish off the video in here. So we're on tomatoes, and the 2 tomatoes that I'm going to be sowing, and as I said earlier, I'll be sowing towards the end of February. I've got 2 here, one called Romello, and it is a bush variety. It's a red cherry tomato, a plum shaped cherry tomato. And the other one is Santa Victoria, again red, a plum type, but it is indeterminate, and that basically means that it will continue growing, and you'll need to support it with string or canes or however you normally support your tomatoes. So these 2 will go in just in the same way as I sowed the peppers, so into a tray that has seed compost with vermiculite, and pop them in and put vermiculite on top. These will go on heat, and once they come through, they'll come off heat and onto under grow lights, and I'll grow them on from there. But remember, you need to have a plan for where you're going to put your tomato seedlings for the next couple of months if you are going to sow in February, because they are not frost tolerant, so it'll probably be a case of keeping them indoors, or if you've got a frost-free greenhouse or polytunnel outside. So that's me. I hope you have found this video interesting. I would really like to hear from you what you think of the video. Has it been too long-winded? I tried to go into as much detail as possible, and it would be good to know whether you find this useful or whether you wanted it a bit more snappy and, you know, bam bam bam, and without as much of the detail. Please could you comment and let me know, and that will help me determine how I'm going to approach some of the other videos that I'm going to be doing shortly. Anyway, I have finished for now, so please give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you again very, very soon. Bye bye for now.